Okay, Mr. Palmer here. Second video on reverse Polish notation. So make sure you go over your notes on all the precedents and what actually postfix is and infix as well before you continue with this video. Okay, so this one is to do with actually converting from infix to postfix and from postfix back to infix again. Okay, so I'll be going over the rules for doing that. So let's take a moment to just quickly recap. This is infix, so the operator is in between the operands. Prefix, the operator precedes the operands. And postfix, the operator follows the operands. So remember, with prefix and postfix, you have to specify the length of the operand so you know what numbers you're actually operating upon. Okay, so why do we use reverse Polish postfix? Basically, we're able to simply and exactly specify the order of operations because everything has the same order of precedence. So therefore, code generation during compilation is easier, and technically you should be able to execute faster calculations because the CPU can use a stack to execute the calculations, right? So this is an explanation of how you can convert from infix to postfix. So basically I've got 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna stick my bracket, open bracket, into a stack, and then I get my 3. That's going to go into my output string. I have an operator 4, plus, so I'm going to put that addition operator into my stack, and then I have another digit 4. I can add that directly to my output string, and then I have another closing bracket this time. So because it's the end of a bracket, I'm going to basically start pulling everything out of my stack and adding it in to my output expression until I hit an open bracket, which means it was the end of that part of the expression. Then I have another multiplication operator, which I'm going to add into my stack, and then I've got a value, or could be an identifier, constant, whatever it is, that goes into my output variable string for my calculation. And because it's the end of the calculation, and then I add everything else that's left in my stack. So basically what I've just done is I've taken a reverse Polish expression and I've taken an infix expression and converted it to reverse Polish using a stack. Okay, so if you look at that, 3, 4 plus is 7, and then 7, 5 star, so it's 7 times 5 is 35, which should give you the same answer as the infix expression. Okay, if you're looking at that, you're like, what? Well, these are the rules for converting from infix to reverse Polish. If the incoming symbol is a variable or a constant, you copy it straight to your output string. If it's an operator of higher precedence than an operator that's at the top of the stack, then you need to push it onto the stack. Okay. If it's a lower precedence than the one that's already in the top of the stack, then you need to pop what's in the stack, and then you go to 2, right? And then you're checking again, right? And then if it's a open bracket, you always push it to the top of the stack, because then when you have a closed bracket, you release everything from the stack and into your output string until you hit another open bracket, because then that's the end of that little chunk of your infix expression. And at the end of your infix expression, everything else that's left in the stack is basically popped and added to your output reverse Polish expression. Okay, so let's practice this again. Before we do that, just so you know precedence, when you're doing infix, if you got a positive, you got like a plus or minus. So basically, if you want to write like minus a, -4, -3, negative numbers, okay, that has the highest precedence because it's a unit operator, operates on a single identifier. All right. Then you got exponentiation, so powers, then multiply, divide, and finally the lowest priority is going to be addition and subtraction. Okay, so a more complex example, similar to the first one, but you can see I've now got 2 sets of brackets. So obviously I've got an open bracket that gets pushed to the stack, another open bracket gets pushed to the stack. Then I have a 3, which is a constant that goes directly into my output string. I then have another operator that goes onto my stack. I then have another constant or identifier, so in this case it's a constant that goes into my output string. I now have a closed bracket, therefore I need to start popping everything from the stack and adding it to my expression until I hit an open bracket, so they get popped. My plus sign is now added to my my output expression. Now if I look at my calculation, I've now got another operator, multiplication operator, so that gets added to my stack. I now have another identifier or constant goes into my output string, end of closing bracket, so therefore I need to pop from my stack, so my multiplication gets added to my output expression. I now have another subtract arithmetic operator goes into my stack, add my constant, and then end of expression, therefore anything that's left in the stack gets added into my output expression. So there in red at the top you can see the infix expression, and in black on the right hand side you can see the reverse Polish version. Right, so now it's time for you to pause this video and practice with this expression, because if you weren't cheating and you practiced, you should have got that. Okay, now what happens if you want to go in the other direction? How do you convert from postfix to infix? Okay, so I've got this expression here at the top, 4xy multiply plus. So I'm going to push 4x and y to my stack. Now because this is, I know the arities have been specified, I know that every mathematical operator is operating on one previous identifier or constant. Therefore, when I hit my multiplication, I'm going to pop y and pop x from my stack, and then I can push x times y back in, because that's my first part of the expression. The next thing I encounter in here is another arithmetic operator, and I know that I'm operating on the two previous arities, and so therefore I can pop x times y, I can pop 4, and I end up with my final calculation in infix, which is 4 plus x times y. Okay, so this is now in the other direction. I'm converting from reverse Polish or postfix to infix. Right, so you basically should be able to convert from infix to postfix and back again now, using these techniques. Right, watch out for the final video, which shows how to use trees to do the same thing.